All right. So I just saw I'm going for the newest video. I'm quitting YUGIOH because Pendulum is too broke. And I noticed in the comment section, some people have a certain view of pendulum summoning. What's interesting, most players don't know the difference between, well, not that they don't, it's they don't separate the difference between pendulum summoning and the pendulum monsters themselves. There is a difference. Most players think it's one and the same. It's not. There's a difference. Pendulum summoning is the mechanic. It's a summoning that you can perform when you have two pendulum monsters in the pendulum zone. It's like being able to special summon them, XYZ summon a monster if you have two monsters on your side of the field, right? Or if you have a monster, a non-tuner and a tuner on your side of the field, you could synchro. Or you have fusion gate, you know what I mean? You can banish two elemental heroes and summon a hero, right? From your extra deck. It's just a mechanic. It's just a method in which you can summon monsters when you meet the requirement. But pendulum summoning itself, just the summoning, it is broken because the whole idea is you're summoning monsters without tribute. You're just summoning them. That is broken. No one can dispute that that's not. That is broken. Now, how many monsters you summon and how many cards in your hands you use, if I pendulum summon my whole entire hand, you trenchel, that's like, well, that's cute, I just lost my whole entire hand. Then that's the excuse people try to use for, yeah, see, pendulum summoning's not broke. No. The summoning was broke. Just because you stopped it doesn't mean it wasn't broke. It was broke. You know what I mean? You just stopped it. What do you freaking do? Anything broken can be stopped. You know what I mean? But doesn't take away the fact that it was broken in the first place. And that's the thing that's annoying, is a lot of people think just because you can do something to something, it makes it less broken. It's like, no, it does not. Oh, you have this first turn OTK, but it starts off with a monster effect. But if I negate it with Veiler, you can't do the OTK. Oh, okay, then the OTK is not broken since I can Veiler it. You're not going to guarantee you have Veiler, just like you're not going to guarantee you're going to have Warning, Torrential, Horn of Heaven, Black Horn of Heaven, that's what I meant to say. A lot of people, anti-spell phrase, a lot of people have all these ideas of how to beat pendulum summoning, right? I'm thinking because there are cards they could use against it, it makes the mechanic itself less broken. It's like, it does not. The mechanic itself is broken just because it is. It's an automatic OTK if you pull it off, and that's the point. Any OTK is broken if you can pull it off. If somebody stops you, all right, they stopped you. They had an answer. That's great. But if they don't have an answer, what happens? You lose, right? So you can't say it's not broken just because you had an answer to it. So that's just dumb. But there is a difference between the pendulum monsters and pendulum summoning. Pendulum summoning is something you can do. The pendulum monsters, on the other hand, they do have other effects. They have their own effects. That's the point. They have an effect. They have use. They are monsters. And then when you put them in the pendulum zone, there are spells. And they have effects when they're in the spell zone. They have effects when they're in the monster zone. That's something you gotta take into consideration. It's like, they have effects. And the newer pendulum monsters, they're gonna be broken ones. There's gonna probably be a Blackluster Soldier pendulum monster. There's gonna probably be a Breaker the Magical Warrior, pendulum monster. Think about it. Look at Exoton Knight, for example. It's a rank 4 version of Black Rose, basically, right? And before Black Rose, what, Chaos Emperor Dragon? So just look at that. Look at the fact that it's just, Konami recycles a lot of stuff. Yes, they created a new mechanic. They created new cards, but using the same old principles, same old concept. They're going to create monsters that destroy BackRow. They're going to create monsters that destroy monsters. They're going to create monsters that destroy spells and traps and monsters. You know what I mean? They're going to create lockdown cards. They're going to create a scenario where you can't lock down. You know what I mean? So forth and so forth. They're going to create a pendulum monster that when it's destroyed, it gets to destroy something. Or when you pendulum summon, destroy something. Or banish something even more broken than destroying. Because you could respond to something being destroyed, but it's hard to respond to something that's being banished, right? Like, you can't Stardust a banishing effect. It's banishing, not destroying. Then you also have to take into consideration, well, this is the concept of the actual video, is properly using Pendulum summoning. So that, which is what makes it broke. Any pro player, any skillful player won't do what a lot of people like to use as an excuse for why it's not so broken and why it's not a big deal. You know, pendulum not being a big deal. It's like, it is a big deal because if you pendulum summon right, it's a big deal. If you pendulum summon wrong, well, then you're just a noob, and of course you're gonna get pwned by a warning. You're gonna get torrentialed and lose so much advantage. Duh. That's the point of you playing wrong. Smart way to play pendulum summoning is to use it to summon one monster, two monsters. You know what I mean? That's the smart way of pendulum summoning. Pendulum summon does not force you to summon every monster. You actually do get to choose the number of monsters you summon. That's the brokenness of it, is the choice. You get to choose what you summon. You can summon just one monster, then tribute for a Jinzo, and then what? Your Torrential is useless, your Bottom is useless, your Mirror Force is useless, blah 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 blah. Compulse is useless. The only thing that would be good, what? Warning, and that's limited to one per deck anyway. Probably get banned on top of that. So it means nothing. It's, if you use pendulum summoning right, it's devastating. Plus, if you pendulum summon a pendulum monster and it gets destroyed by like Torrential, Mirror Force, shit like that, you know what happens? It goes into the extra deck. You know what you can do next turn? Summon it from the extra deck. Hope you understood everything I just said, because everything I just said makes it obvious it is broken. That's the thing. Odd Eyes Dragon, Pendulum Dragon, already rotas, already searches out for you the pendulum monsters. Then it itself is a pendulum monster. It'd be different if it wasn't a pendulum monster. That's what makes him broken, is because he is a pendulum monster that searches out pendulum monsters. Then you use those pendulum monsters to do what? Bring him out. Oh, you Torrential? Oh, good looking. It'll go right back in my extra deck. That means nothing. You just wasted a Torrential. And now I still got my normal summons, my regular special summons. That's the thing. You don't have to summon your whole entire hand. It'd be stupid to summon your whole entire hand when your opponent got BackRow. That's why you don't summon your whole entire hand. That's why you summon. That's why you play other cards, get rid of the BackRow, and then pendulum summon, and then normal summon, special summon. You know what I mean? Play your cards right. To me, the way I'm gonna start trying to tweak, experiment with pendulums, is using them in replacement of MST, bait doll, stuff like that. Like BackRow hate, because what is BackRow? What is the purpose of BackRow, right? It's to deal with monsters, right? It's traps. That's what Torrential is for. That's what Bottom is for, right? That's what Mirror Force is for. Compulse, Warning, all that stuff. The whole purpose of those cards is to prevent me from having monsters on the field, to stop me from summoning something that's of a threat, right? The beauty of pendulum summoning, especially with Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon, I can just summon him, and he already be a threat. You're either warning him or I'm running your monster over with him. If I attack with him, you either Mirror Force or I'm running your monster over. Get the picture? I haven't even used my normal summon yet. I haven't even special summon yet, other than the pendulum summon, which will count as special, but you get the point. I ain't do nothing other than just pendulum summon one or two monsters, just to bait out that Mirror Force, that Torrential. Because it'd be stupid just to Torrential on one monster, right? One monster summon. So that's why I would just summon two pendulum monsters. You Torrential? Oh, cool. Extra deck. I'll summon it next turn and OTK you. Not a problem. And that's the point. I'm making you waste your resources while I'm plussing my resources. Pendulum summoning is the new E-Dragons. Not a lot of people are even thinking of that. They complain about Dragon Rulers, right? But don't even realize that Pendulum Summon is not that different from Dragon Rulers. It just now makes it where every deck is a Dragon Ruler deck. Every deck can swarm the field. Oh, your Mirror Force, not a big deal. I just recoup my losses next turn. What do these dragons do? Exactly that. Oh, you Mirror Force? I don't care. I'll just bring back the monsters next turn. And that's the thing. It's the thing with Dragon Rulers versus Pendulum Summon. Dragon Rulers required other monsters, other Dragon Rulers, in order for you to get pluses, right? For you to be able to recoup and be able to spam with them. There was a condition you had to meet. To a Pendulum Summon, it doesn't require too many cards. You know what I mean? In order just to summon Odd Eyes Dragon alone, just to summon him, the thing is you can summon him without even Pendulum Summon. Obviously, you could just summon him with Tribute Summon, you could call Haunting him, you know, he's a monster. But if you do the Pendulum thing, then all you're doing is placing 2 monsters on the field and treat it as spells, and then declare Pendulum Summoning and summon it free of charge. And then you can do this every turn. So even if you Dark Hole my Odd Eyes, doesn't matter. I'll just bring it back next turn. I don't even have to banish 2 monsters to do this like you would do with BLS. Or Dragon Rulers, for example. I won't have to banish dragons, or, you know, to resummon it. All I have to do is just declare that I'm resummoning it free of charge. Grapha. You gotta have a Dark World monster you can summon, right? Which means you have to waste a normal summon or a special summon a Dark World. Bounce it to hand to bring back Grapha. Machina Fortress. You have to discard until you discard 8 or more levels worth of machine monsters to bring him back from the graveyard, even to summon it from the hand. And that's the point. It's you have a main deck monster that goes into your extra deck, which makes it harder for you to DD Crow it. Even if Monster Reborn was legal, you won't be able to Monster Reborn my Odd Eyes Dragon because it's in my extra deck. You know what I mean? That's the point. It's somewhere where it'd be hard for you to fuck with it. Not impossible. There are some cards that do fuck with the extra deck, but that's very rare. Because mainly what we're dealing with is monsters. We normally have effects that deal with our opponent's graveyard, so you can't DD Crow my Odd Eyes. You know what I mean? Anytime I synchro with him, you know, or tribute him, he's going into my extra deck, and I'm just gonna summon him the next turn. And that's the point. Just this alone, we don't even have all the other Pendulum monsters. I've seen some of the other ones. They're pretty spamming because of their own effects, and then you can make a whole Pendulum deck, which will be the same way with the Dragon Ones. Dragon Ones, when you combine them, you had a devastating deck. When you individually use them in other decks, it supported and made those decks pretty strong. What is Pendulum Summon going to do? Make other decks pretty strong. Even decks that weren't already strong. Decks that were already strong, going to be even stronger. That's all it's going to do. It's just a new version of Dragon Rulers. It's the new age Dragon Rulers. And that's just what I want.